into staying with us, we're going to start with the nation. Tinubu okays 108 billion naira for states to tackle flooding and erosion. A mockery. President deserves no blame for NNPCL business decisions. Consumer Commission stakeholders join forces against pricing exploitation. Edo 2024, Obaseki threatens to stop PDP from signing peace agreement. Court grants 10 million naira bail each to 10 protesters on trial. Why banks orders must join anti-terrorism battle, says NSA. Okay, which story are we starting with?
I'll start with the major headline. 1 million displaced by the Maiduguri National Calamity Dam burst. And our president has approved 108 billion for the states to combat natural disasters. So each state is entitled to 3 billion. And this is because of what's happening in Maiduguri. As we know, flooding, many states in the north are facing that. And then there are also many southern states that will be at risk of flood. They said erosion is also rampant across the country, especially in the southeast. Kaduna is also currently battling erosion. So NIMET had also predicted that there will be more rainfall and likelihood of more flooding as the year rolls to an end. So our president has approved this amount, 108 billion. The vice president also confirmed that this amount had been sent out to states. The governor of Borno State, talking to reporters, confirmed that he had received the 3 billion towards this humanitarian crisis. The vice president was saying the president is showing his commitment, to these issues of flooding and erosion and the humanitarian crisis that, was coming from this. Also, the House of Assembly, the speaker was saying that they as a house as well are going to sit down, and come up with ways that they can support the various states at this time.
All right. Another story?
Okay, yes. So I have the Federal High Court in Abuja has granted 10 million bail to each of the 10 suspects arrested over the last and bad governance. Justice Emeka Nwite granted them bail yesterday. They were charged by the Inspector General of Police with treason, publicly calling for military takeover, amongst others. Some of the conditions that were given by the judge was that they must produce one shorty each in like sum, while all the shorties must be residents in Abuja. Both the protester defendants and the shorties must deposit their international passports with 3 recent passport photographs. The judge restrained the defendants from further participating in any other rally within the course of this trial. He ordered that the defendants remain in custody pending when they are able to meet their bail conditions, and they have adjourned the case to September 27 to commence trial.
Okay, Honourable Minister, you have a story?
So, No, continue.
Okay, so the next story, I think PDP may not sign the peace accord, says Governor Obaseki. I think the IG can't suspend state security corps. I think, of course, there's an impending election coming up in Edo State, and as we all know, elections are always contentious in Nigeria, and even if you don't win elections, you think that you've won elections. So, obviously, there's an encouragement for all parties to sign peace accords because it is important for us to ensure that even in the aftermath of elections, people are really able to live peacefully. So General Abdul Salam Abubakar was in Edo State to ensure that all the parties sign this peace accord in the aftermath of the election. So, before the election, so that in the aftermath of the election, anyone that has any grievance can take it, of course, to court. So Governor Obaseki is slightly trepidatious about signing this peace accord because, he feels that the IG of police may be a little biased. So, that's really what the story is. So,
what's his name? Mr. David Roberts has warned the UK trade union to stay out of the Nigerian politics and the problem between Joe Ajero and the Nigerian government, he says they shouldn't endanger the prevailing cordial diplomatic relations between the UK and Britain and Nigeria. The union had come out to say the persecution of Joe Ajero, they condemned the persecution of Joe Ajero, or anybody's human rights.
Right.
But Bayo Ononuga had said he was arrested for snubbing the DSS invitation. So he is now saying, please stay out of it, and let the...
All right. Okay, so let me take the story from the National Security Advisor, NSA, Malam Nuhu Ribadu, was saying yesterday that financial institutions should be at the forefront in the fight against terrorism financing as part of the counterterrorism efforts being done. According to him, terrorism was not just spurred by extremist ideology, but also by the financial lifeblood that enabled the terrorist groups to carry out their heinous acts. He was speaking yesterday at the Nigerian Army Resource Center, where it was the third counterterrorism seminar that was organized. And he was represented by the National Coordinator, National Counterterrorism, that's Major General Adamu Laka at the event. So obviously we know that the financial system, follow the money, you find the terrorists. Moving on quickly now to the Punch. Borno flood, 1 million persons affected, 414,000 displaced. Hunger protesters get a 100 million naira bill, barred from further demonstrations. FG to register untitled lands. Student loan beneficiaries lament delayed allowance. How government spent $50 billion excess crude funds, says NESG. Mpox, that's monkeypox outbreak spreads to 23 states. And INEC warns against violence as police deploy 35,000 officers. Okay, which story? One story for the break.
Okay, I'll take the Mpox.
Okay.
So Nigeria has recorded 67 confirmed cases of monkeypox from 1,031 suspected cases in 23 states and the FCT. This is by the NCDC, that's Nigeria Center for Disease Control and Prevention. It was disclosed that, okay, so a whole list of the states, but because of time, I'm not going to take them all. So the agency is optimizing surveillance in states to ensure accurate detection, and they're working with Port Health Authority to prevent the importation of clade 1 of Mpox into the country. The Port Health Authority is also working with border states to ensure prevention of the clade into the country. So it's just saying, just giving us the steps they've been taking, because I've been taking the story, I took a story just telling us about the numbers. The numbers are actually increasing in Nigeria, so we need to be careful. And I'm happy that they're working, with border states to prevent people coming in.
When I came in, they took my number. So I'm sure that was because if there was any case of
me too.
On the plane, they would just isolate all of us. I just said, hey, please, we'll go.
That's what they're doing at the airport.
Not monkey.
It's a way of...
Another story, take one more story for the break. You have a story?
Okay, yes.
Okay. Go ahead, Emma.
The beneficiaries of the federal government student loan scheme across the country, they are lamenting the late payments of their monthly stipend. As we all know, NELFund commenced payment of students, the loans, the school fees, and students are saying that thank you, we are grateful that you've paid the school fees, but then we need the monthly stipend because the economy is really hard. If not, we can't survive. Yeah. A total of over 20,000 students from 6 tertiary institutions were said to have been paid the sum of 20,000 naira each as at July stipends, but till now they've not gotten their August stipends. And also, most of them that spoke on it, did that anonymously because they were scared of being victimized. Also, the heads of the institutions are pleading with the federal government to increase the 20,000 naira monthly stipends because they feel that with the economic situation and hardship in the economy, that the kids can't really cope with that 20,000. 20,000 can't do so much or enough for them. So they are pleading if there's a way they can do that. But from NELFund's end, they are saying that they've approved the monthly stipends for the month of August, and it must be paid this week to all tertiary institutions. Yes.
Let's go on a short break now. When we come back, we continue with our review. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back.
The new Milo 3-in-1 Milky and Creamy is truly milky and contains...
I'm Miriam Lunge. I'm a passionate environment advocate and a published author.
I am the founder of Celebration, a businesswoman, and a fashion icon.
I am a wealth coach and a real estate developer.
I am Amako Arakwe. I'm a corporate commercial lawyer and an entrepreneur.
Welcome to our Haka. I am Hanatu Musa, an entrepreneur and a business coach.
I am the voice of an average Muslim woman, an hijabite, and a lawyer.
I am a polymath and a serial entrepreneur.
I am Murayo Afolabi Brown, Managing Director, TVC Entertainment. I'm a media consultant, producer, and broadcaster.
The ladies of Your View are made of women from different professions, tribes, cultures, and religion. Join us every Monday to Friday as we share our views on topical and social issues.
Ladies and gentlemen, make welcome the grand comedian of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, Benga Dainka the First. OJ right here, 7 of 7, like you already know.
Benga right here, 7 of 7, like I'm beginning to know.
It's now time for the questions.
You don't scare me one bit. Bata, I go drink. So.
Okay. So now one chance for enter. My first question. Do you remember the names of the winners of that edition of StarQuest?
Of course I do.
Why do you?
And I hate myself for this because
untitled lands. So the Ministry of Housing and Urban Development has commenced moves to address the issue of unregistered and untitled land in Nigeria, which is, I think, about, he said, 90%. And just to think of the revenue that is lost from, untitled land tax, it's something I think that is necessary. And even for just data, for mapping, these are the things that we need to do in Nigeria to ensure that we have proper information about not just the land, but in every sector. I think data mapping is quite important. So, yeah.
I have the story one from the NESG. So the Nigerian Economic Summit Group has explained how the state governors spent the country's $50 billion excess crude account in 2010, which would have served as a buffer for subsidies and other pressing financial concerns of the nation. If you recall, I remember that time, even before that time, when Okonjo-Iweala kept saying that, listen, we cannot spend this money. And the governor said we must spend the money. They took it to court. So he said that, if you recall, the global financial crisis of 2007 and 2008 had minimal effects, where the substantial fiscal buffer, the EC, that's the excess crude account, which greatly shielded the external economic shocks. But however, the state governors approached the Supreme Court, got a court order to declare the ECA illegal, giving them the basis to share the domicile funds. So instead of us to be using our saved money to pay for subsidy, we're using money that we're collecting to be paying for subsidy. So governors that shared $50 billion are part of the problem. It says that the federal government disbursed $50 billion funds to the 36 state governors between the president, late President Musa Yar'Adua and the time Jonathan took over. So they were just giving that the report on that. Okay.
Have they said what they did with the money? Those governors are no more governors now. They don't carry their Igba, enter house.
Moving on now to Son. We can not only tell you what the paper is saying, we can discuss it another time.
I'm just wondering, because all those governors now, they are no more governors. Yeah. They are senators.
But they are alive and well.
They are senators.
They are senators. Daily Sun. Military out to ensure 2.2 million barrels per day oil production quota. Edo Guba PDP may not sign peace accord. Obaseki tells Absalami. I think we took that story already. Inflation. FG considers zero duty on food imports. Government to convert $300 billion unregistered land into viable assets. Terrorism provides cover for other crimes to thrive, says the Chief of Army Staff. Flood. Crude confirms 49 dead, 226 communities affected. Cholera, Lassa fever, other kills. 1,056 in 2024. Okay, which story are we starting with?
Okay, I have in the Sun. So, our government, in a bold effort to tackle rising food prices and provide immediate relief from inflationary pressures, has proposed a temporary zero duty levy on selected food imports. So this is coming from the Office of Director of Information and Public Relations of the Finance Ministry. So this happened after a meeting, a closed-door meeting with our Minister for Finance and with the Nigerian Customs Service Board, and sat down and they came up with what they have described as a temporary measure in a critical period. So this is not a long-term thing, and it's because they are trying to meet up with the supply, with the supply crisis that we're facing right now. But they're saying that this government is committed to long-term solutions. This is just something that they have to do right now. And the ministry was also very complimentary of the Nigerian Customs, saying that they have been doing a lot, they've been doing a lot in safeguarding the nation's economic interest, and also maintaining efficient functioning of customs processes. So I don't know how this will sound to a lot of people who are invested, in the food business here in the country. How this will affect domestic production is what I mean.
Okay, another story, son. Who has? Minister, you have?
Yeah, I will. I will piggyback from the story that my sister earlier on said. It's still really about the flood. There's a flood disaster, the food shortage that has come out from that, and the federal government is commiserating with the Borno government. And, this great concern about the food shortage and commodities in Maiduguri and Borno State, thousands of people, residents, have been struggling just for survival. We're talking about, of course, people have died, complete food shortage, disease. There's just so much from this flood, and one would have thought that every single year we deal with the issue of flood.
Right.
At this point, we need to ensure that we put infrastructure in place that will be able to mitigate that. And I'm really hoping that after this specific disaster, we really look at how we approach the issue of infrastructure in a way that will factor in the point that there's going to be rain, and we need to really do something to mitigate this flood disaster.
Is because the governor had talked about disease.
Yeah,
they're going to get because the sewage, sewers were all flooded as well. So there's the
outbreak of disease.
Yes.
Real waterborne.
So this monkeypox that we're even dealing with will even be small fry compared to what they will. So I think they really need to act fast, very fast.
Let me take the major headlines. So the Chief of Defense Staff, General Christopher Musa, has given the Army, the Air Force, and the Navy the mandate to ensure there's improvement in crude oil production from 1.35 million barrels per day to 2.2 million barrels per day. General Musa gave the charge while inaugurating members of the Defense Joint Monitoring Team at the 6th Division Nigerian Army Headquarters in Port Harcourt, Rivers State yesterday. He urged the team to liaise with all security agencies and other critical stakeholders to bring all bunkering-related crimes to a standstill in the Niger Delta region. The CDS clarified that the essence of the task force was to ensure security production of crude within the Niger Delta.
Okay, I have a human story. 9 persons have been killed in a tragic auto crash that occurred yesterday along the Kano-Zaria Highway. And the Federal Road Safety Corps are saying that this was caused by wrongful overtaking. They also indicated that 3 other victims were injured, while explaining that the crash occurred between a moving truck and then a tricycle. The people that were injured were evacuated to Crude General Hospital for urgent medical attention. And they are extending their condolences to the families that were affected, and they are pleading with road users to please take it easy, especially during this rainy season.
Yeah.
When trying to overtake, roads are slippery, so that let's take extra care to avoid other sad stories. My condolences to the families that their lives were affected.
Okay, our final paper, The Vanguard. Let's find a story we've not taken. IMF to FG, protect the poor from impacts of petrol price hike. Treason, court grants 10 hashtag end bad governance protesters 100 million naira bill. Finance Minister, Customs meets to implement zero duty on food imports. State of the Nation, Tinubu's government is sliding into fascism, says Anef Afenifere. Borno flood, we are still trapped, can't access work business places. Okay, sorry.
I have Justice Emeka Nwite of the Federal High Court in Abuja granted bail to 10 activists who were being prosecuted by the federal government over the recent hunger or end bad governance protest. He says Justice Emeka says he was inclined to grant bail to the defendants because they were able to prove with the evidence brought before the court that they were actually just protesters. But the case before them, they're facing 6 counts in connection with alleged treason, intent to destabilize Nigeria, conspiracy to commit felony, and inciting to mutiny, which is punishable under Section 97 of the Penal Code. The defendants were also accused of making an attempt to force their way into the seat of power, during which they reportedly burnt down a police station, injured police officers. They're accused of inciting the Nigerian public against the government, destroying several public property, including a police station, high court complex, and national communications. So while investigation, the court's saying to them that while investigation is going on, they've been barred from participating in any protest.
Okay.
So I was going to take the Eguavon story. He is really angry over the results of their match against the Rwandans because their goal was disallowed. Ademola Lookman had scored the goal with a header, but the referee disallowed it. So he said the whole world saw that it was a goal. Only one person thought otherwise. So he was angry about that because we have given them that clear 3 points against. He says the Rwandans were even jubilating because they too felt they should have lost the game. But he did praise the Rwandans. He says African football has come a long way and they did well.
Okay, I think that is what we're going to take on Banker. I was going to take another story, but let's move on quickly to the Nigerian Tribune. Let's find a story of not taking. Woman slumps dies while giving testimony in church. I thought it was this though. Food shortage hits Maiduguri as governor says over 1 million people displaced by flood. Financial institutions must be part of counterterrorism. After 10 months, Plateau Speaker swears in APC lawmakers. And I think that's the only story in this.
Yes.
I have one story that I missed out. So the Area on the Kankanfo of Yoruba Land Iba, Gani Adams, wrote an open letter to our president criticizing the administration, saying they have become indifferent, insensitive, and unresponsive to the plight of Nigerians. And he was going on and on about how people came in, believed in the Emilio Conrad mantra, and then over the months they've seen how dollar has gone from, how petrol has gone from 200 naira per liter to 1,000 naira per liter, that hardship is really real. And events are proven that obviously maybe the people he has at the helms of affairs are not doing their job. So we'll see how that goes.
He sounds
why
like
do
a
they
very
write?
disillusioned
Yes, it sounds like
person.
a very pained person. But why do they always write open letters? I don't know.
So that
everybody knows that they are.
Yes, that my hands are clean. I don't talk my own.
And maybe access as well, because
that's another
direct
thing.
access. So open letters. I've written a couple of open letters in my time, so I understand the need to communicate your message directly, and possibly that's the best medium to do so.
I think Gani Adams will have access.
You don't know how that place works. You know, some people even.
Honorable Minister can tell us now.
Resign
Can we just walk into the office and say, Mr. President, I want to see, or they are.
I don't think there's any government in the world that you can just walk into the office to see.
Exactly.
Nigeria is not.
I say some people who are even close to the president will resign because of health reasons. What are you saying?
YK.
Leave that one. Leave that one. Leave that one.
Let's go on a break.
That is why I can say what I can say.
Yes. You know, you're allowed to. When we're going to go on a short break. That's all we can take on Front Page. We're going to come back. It's our Thursday, our gisting day. We're going to talk about some hot topics. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back.
As the morning light filters in, the Max Breakfast kickstarts your day from the bedside.
We bring you the morning vibe and plenty of ginger to start your day right.
Join us on the Max Breakfast as we help you seize your day one step at a time. On Max Hits, we've got the ultimate playlist for you. We give you back-to-back
and all the biggest news from the world of entertainment. Only a Max hit.
Area! Waiting the apple, waiting the shop. You need to award-winning waiting the 102.3 Max FM.
Lagos, Nigeria, you're welcome to the Max Drive.
Whether you're there for inside motor, you're there for inside traffic, we're there for you with a Max Drive.
You know what it is. It's the Max House Party. King Dion, DJ Charlie Shee. Let's go!
102.3 Max FM. Hit music for Lagos.
Hey, my people, I greet you plenty. My name is Nachika Okeke.
My name na Uwi Balogun.
My name is Damilola Banire. My name na Moyo Faraway Ahmed. If you also call me Moyo, listen. And this na Abigail.
And I dare on top your view pigeon.
I'm going to bring you bass, boost.
I don't get person will be single mother before. He carry another man show say now my husband be this.
This na wetin you want.
After that day, the man
you no go see him again.
If you snooze, you lose. If you miss this show, you miss out. On top this our show, I not dey gree for anybody.
When you dey friend the husband, you not see sign say the guy smart, you don't vex, don't give signs.
If they look for person we go give am to you, fact as he be.
Men no dey ever get fault.
If baby not dey for her,
na the woman.
Talk no dey be person, you make person no fit talk true inside. But for this country, we know say if we open curtain in the morning, waiting no good, no good.
Me and my sisters, hey, we go tanda gidigba for inside studio to give una all the latest information.
Look, we no even take responsibility for the children. Leave the man.
And that's some poria.
Thanks for staying with us. So it's Thursday and we'd like to discuss family, life, relationships, and just general life issues. So there was a video we saw on one of the blogs and it was about an evangelist Benita Okeke, according to the blog, who was offering advice to women that when your man is there, you shut up. You shouldn't be talking when men are talking, especially if you're married to the person. And she was on the pulpit and advising women, saying that she loves them so much, so she's giving them this advice. And of course, it generated quite a bit of conversation. From social media, people were asking, some agreed with her, some were not in so much agreement, because there is that mantra that as a wife you have to submit, and part of submission is being quiet, especially when your husband is speaking. And I think I've shared a story with you guys before of a family member, an aunt, when I was younger, when I was a teenager. She came to my house. She and her husband were having the conversation in my house with my dad, and everybody was there. I'm not even sure my dad was there, but a lot of people there, sharp. They were talking. And her husband was clearly saying rubbish, like total, complete, like he was saying something totally off the cuff. And I'm thinking, what? And she was there in agreement and smiling. And she's even very educated, more exposed. And I expected her to object, say, nah, sweetheart, it's not like that. She didn't say a word. She just kept quiet. And the guy was just talking rubbish and just jabbering nonsense. And after the whole meeting, everybody was going home. And I called auntie, you know what your husband said is nonsense, right? Why didn't you say anything? So you understand when you get married. When you enter marriage, you understand. And till today, they are still married, though. Yeah. So you can imagine a woman who has made a choice that keep quiet, even though he's talking nonsense. That is the code. That's how she was raised, and that's how a lot of women are raised. And that's what this woman is saying. Now, the question is, does that still, or should that still hold water today? That's our conversation. You can call us on numbers on your screen, 081 0764 1679 090 241 63440. You can also tweet to us at TVC Connect. Please hashtag YourViewTVC so we can retweet. I would love to hear from men. I would really like to hear from men because it's one thing to say, how can you tell a woman to keep quiet? But men actually would rather you be quiet sometimes. So let me who would like to go first? Mariam?
Okay. So first of all, I think it's a bold message in 2024 because for what I understand with a lot of our women today in Nigeria, this will rub a lot of people, the wrong way. And secondly, I find it rather ironic that she's on the pulpit holding a mic and having the space to speak and yet saying to people, quoting the Bible where it says, do not be in church speaking, you go home and you speak. So I expect that message to be coming from her home. So clearly, from what I've said, you just know that I don't agree with her. I don't agree with her because even the men, at least the men that I know and the men that I've associated with, and the fathers that I'm seeing raising daughters, they're encouraging them to speak up for themselves, to be confident, to have conversations. So we're not saying be rude and put your finger in someone's face or do not allow someone to speak, but it's when the person speaks, you're allowed to speak as well. If the person expresses an opinion, you're allowed to express your own opinion. You're allowed to agree or disagree with your husband or your, the male partner that you have. And I find that there are men, in my own experience, appreciate that. That means they even know what it is that you're thinking. I don't know of the sort of arrangement that we have, like the modern day marriage that we have today, where we're doing nearly everything together. And then when it comes to important meetings, and I have been invited just as you, and I have been given a space and a position just like you at the table, and I'm not allowed to say anything. So I think that she looks quite young to me as well. I think that she needs also to sit down maybe with some other people and hear their thoughts as well. But I do not agree with her stance.
Okay, do you want to jump in?
Yeah, of course. I think it is quite extreme to say that you should not speak while your husband is around. There is something to, as a wife, to partnering and supporting your husband. And part of that support would be to speak up and advise and encourage him when you need to. Yes, there has to be respect and there has to be, I am extremely traditional, so I do believe in at least an element of submission when you're with your husband. But to the extent to say that I cannot speak, that is pushing it too far. And I think for her, where the problem is that she's on the pulpit. And, this will... Yeah, and, this will give a lot of... it's going to put pressure on a lot of women who would listen to her. So, as a wife, I think part of your duty really is to support your husband. And part of that support, is for you to speak up when the need arises.
Let me come to you, Amaka, because how can we even fathom how a man thinks when a wife who is probably smarter than you is in a meeting with you and she tries to, you feel in your mind she's taking the shine off you because maybe it's the conversation, the way you're the head of the family, for example, of your family, and she's pitching into the meetings of your family, and she has better ideas and she's speaking, and then maybe you don't want to tell her to shut up, but because you're reading the body language of your siblings and everything, and thinking, why is your wife the one taking? And you're trying to pinch your wife, shut up, just keep quiet, let me handle this. Because some men, it's easy for us to say, don't shut me up. But some men actually feel intimidated. They feel like you're taking over, you're suppressing my own essence when you are speaking so much. Do you think therefore they might be valid in asking a woman to keep quiet?
Okay, so I would like to start from my own personal experience and how I was raised. I was raised in a home where my father encouraged me to have an opinion, told me that my opinion mattered, and then I should have a voice. And I believe and I feel like in the African setting, for so long, women have been quiet. And now, being the time where women are beginning to speak, women are being encouraged to air their opinions, women are being encouraged to understand that their opinions and their voices matter. It is not a time where someone is telling women to shut up. I can understand where, like, if as a family, we go somewhere, we go to an event or go for an occasion, and the father, a male figure, a father is there. Usually you find out that everybody just waits for the father to lead, for the father to speak. I can understand that. But if a husband and wife, for example, is going for a meeting or they're going somewhere, I would assume that they must have had the conversation at home on what are we going to speak on, what are we agreeing on as a family, what is our opinion, our take on this particular subject matter. How are we?
Sometimes it doesn't happen like that, Amaka. Is it just impromptu?
Yeah, it's just impromptu, yeah. But then, if as a man, you're out with your wife and you say something, she has a right to not have the same opinion or agree with what you're saying. She's a complete human being.
But you should do that in public.
If you're having a conversation, like the way we're having a conversation, you have a different opinion, I have a different opinion. What is wrong in that? That's the same way as a man. When you go out, you have your opinion. Everyone, as far as you're not being rude, you're not being disrespectful, the same way I won't be disrespectful to you when I'm sharing my opinion. That's the same way. The person is a human being.
Let me come to you, Waike, because, I have shared this story before, but let me hear your opinion first before I share my story.
I would have loved to interview her and ask her, what if it is the other way around? If the woman is talking, will he shut her up if he has a contrary opinion to her? Or if she's talking like your auntie, if it was your auntie talking rubbish, would the man say, hey, be quiet, you are talking rubbish? Or would he respect her and wait till they get home and say, Oga, auntie, what you are saying there? Because me, the topic we treated on Tuesday when we said the women will now go to England and they will drive the woman out of the man out of the house. It starts from what we do here. Yeah. When your husband will be saying the thing that you don't agree with, you keep quiet because I'm a submissive wife. You are pretending. And when you now go to, when you jackpot, you will show your...
And we said that pretense is part of marriage. Because sometimes pretense is part of... But let us not... Some people can say, I don't pretend. Some people, you have to pretend to do... And I'm choosing my words carefully. Some women have to pretend, not because they choose to pretend, but because society makes them pretend. So, now you are married, though. All these things that you're doing, all this your color hair, stop doing it. You're now a married woman. Now, she now suppresses her love for green hair. Because she's married now, she has to look a certain way. So it's all pretending like I am this person, but this is who I really am. So we all somewhat kind of, maybe pretend it's too much a strong word, but we all kind of compromise. I don't use compromise because sometimes it's not a compromise, it's a total 360 from what you want. Yes. But I think I have a call up. Hello, good morning. Thanks for calling.
Yeah, good morning.
You're live. I need the volume, please.
Yes, my name is Gideon.
Hello,
I'm calling
Gideon.
from
You're live. Thanks for calling.
Hello?
Go ahead, you're live.
Yes, I'm Gideon. I'm calling from Ottawa. Like I said, this week, I'm a pastor. And in most cases, they use the Bible as an excuse to shut women up in a Christian gathering. In that Bible passage where Paul warned women against talking, it was because when I read the Bible commentary, it was in Corinth, and the women in Corinth were known for being cantankerous. So Paul was advising them to stop this their cantankerous nature. See, our God is not a confusion. When you look at the Bible, you see several women that were great men of God. There was Deborah, who was a judge in Israel. There was even Paul himself. 2 of his daughters were described as evangelists. And I've forgotten the Bible passage now, pardon me. There was even another woman that Paul described as a fellow worker in the vineyard. So it is absolutely unbiblical to say that the women should keep quiet. That is from the religious perspective. Then from the cultural perspective, I think it's all this mentality of men is always right, men is the head of the house. If the men are the head, then who is the neck? Women should be allowed to talk. They have the, like Marital said, in most cases, you might discover that the woman is even having better and better contributions to make. Thank you very much. That's my opinion.
Okay, thank you. So I know shutting up is, as you said, extreme. I like that word. But there are cases where your man expects you to not, I don't want to say disappear, but to somewhat just not so shine sometimes because he wants the floor. Yeah. So should women still take that cue when the man says, when you feel like, okay, let me just act like I'm here. I'm not here.
I mean, if I can come in here, I think sometimes the machismo ego, sometimes you as a woman, you really have to manage that. And I like the point that you made that I think to say pretend is probably not the right word. And I loved what the pastor said when he spoke about the neck and the head. Sometimes you have to lose or take a step back to win. And if the man wants to take a more active role, you can do that. He's the head. The head. You as a woman are the neck. So basically, you're the one who navigates the head. So sometimes I think what I often see with women in the household, sometimes, I don't know whether manipulative also is kind of a harsh word, but in your situation, you have to look to see how you can manage. Sometimes you have to lose to win. And like I said, often I've seen situations where those marriages...
In today's marriages, a lot of women don't want to lose anything. They feel like, I don't need to lose myself in any way. Let me go on a short break. When we come back, we continue this conversation. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
I don't know what the manipulative...
Welcome to Pure Entertainment. What would you like to order from our menu today? We have the regulars.
So let me go and look for my jam results.
My 220 was 320. I suppose don't be one medical.
At this point, I contest my jam results.
I want to close the show.
I can go. I can.
That's all we can take. Ejeki, close the show, Father.
Ladies and gentlemen, number one, Unavailable by Davido featuring Musa Keys.
We also have today's chef special.
Yo, shine, yeah. Say recap done, and it's time for number one on the countdown. One of Nigeria's hottest artists right now, his name is Rema, and this one is called Charm. Kick it.
For dessert and a bit of nightcap, we have the nighttime and online specials.
I want to start the gym, yeah? But do you know one thing that's actually keeping me back? You should start the gym to get fat. Cricket.
Thanks for staying with us. We're still discussing this topic. Mariam was going to say something.
Yes. So I think I think context matters when you're discussing, issues like this. When as young wives and young mothers, you hear the older women say to you, you need to apply wisdom in the way that you speak to him. But I found that, especially with the much older women, was that the way that marriage was arranged at that time, everything, the financial authority, everything was determined by the man, and the woman had to sort of find a way around him, so that she's always in his good graces. And if you don't have the wisdom that they ask you to, that they ask us to imbibe, then you lose out. Because, and also maybe you're not just you're one of 4 wives or one of many wives. And how do you make sure that you get your own, part of the what I'll call national cake. So that happens. But now I'm talking about the modern day marriage that many of us, have. And where the wisdom will come would be that is the wisdom that it has to be practiced by both the husband and wife. So if a husband feels that when we go for our family meetings, when you speak up so much, it makes me look bad. Sis, please don't come for my go to our family meetings with me. Or when we go, just keep your opinions to yourself. But the woman understands that it's not because I'm saying, shut up, you do not have anything reasonable to say. It's because for these people who are not even, what they think or what they do should not affect our own relationship. A woman is likely to understand that. So if, the caller that said that the particular quote that she mentioned from the Bible was about very noisy women during meetings, their voice. So yes, if you do have someone, a spouse, male or female, husband or wife, who seems to just talk over people, always arguing and quite argumentative, it's good to say to them, there's a way that you need to have a conversation. Stop screaming, stop talking while I'm talking, and if you need to disagree, there's an agreeable way to do it. That's a different kind of conversation. But that general shut up, the reason why we're taking it up is because there used to be a time where it was expected for a woman to shut up and only be seen.
There was a time, I think I've shared this story also before, there was a time where, in fact, even my husband always holds it against me anytime we have a fight. So many years ago, in our old house, so my husband was trying to help a woman, one of our neighbors, who was, obviously, her husband wasn't around, she was alone, and she felt that one of the neighbors was always turning on the generator, and the carbon monoxide was getting into her window. So obviously, she has complained to us. My husband, being the man he is, tried to appeal to the other neighbor who was doing that. That one, obviously, after a few appeals, he wasn't listening. So one night, the lady came to our house and she was crying. Her son couldn't sleep, was coughing all night. So my husband, out of anger, turned off the man's generator. The man comes out, was angry, fuming, and then they started throwing punches. Now, as a wife, yes, you're right because you're trying to fight a good cause. But you turning off the man's generator without his permission or even knocking on his door, I thought that was also wrong. So I'm telling you, so my husband and the two men were trying to fight, and I'm holding my husband and saying, Brown, stop it, stop it. Until tomorrow, Brown reminded me how I was telling him in front of everybody to stop it when he was trying to, he felt that at that moment, I should have stood by him and not say a word and just fight for him. But I'm thinking, you were also wrong for just turning off another man's generator. Yes, the man is wrong. We've tried to appeal to him, but come on, let us be civil here. And so as a woman, he expected me to just don't say anything. All I wanted you to do was just stand by me and be fighting the man on my behalf or just be
Well, to be very
supporting.
honest, in
that situation.
To be very honest, if I were Mr. Brown in that situation, I will fight you. Because why are you... You are talking about, we will help him. We will throw punches together. We will fight that fight. I know that is probably wrong, but I will fight that fight.
Exactly.
I also expect that if I'm outside throwing punches and you're with me, I expect you to throw the punch with me. This is not even man and woman matter. This is even friends. When we enter house, you can correct me. When it comes to fight or something,
now let us bring that example into this. So a man is saying, it's a conversation. So it's not a fight, it's not punch. We're having a conversation. And you are speaking, and I'm speaking as a man. And you have a contrary opinion. You're not speaking alongside me. You have a contrary opinion, and you're not saying you expect you to shut up. Even if you don't agree with me, keep quiet. If you agree with me, yes, so we're punching together. But if you don't agree, just keep quiet. That's what this woman is saying in a different way.
Well, if you're having if you're having like a meeting or something, or like if you're in a business area, in a business setting, for example, you're having meetings, you have a contract, you have projects you're working on, that does not even apply. Because my opinion matters for us to move forward. If we're going to make money, or if we're
not using the same principle there. We're choosing where to apply this principle.
Yes, because are you trying to tell me that if we have a contract, if we have a project, and I know for your opinion is going to make us lose money, or make us lose out on something. And the reason why, as a smart, intelligent woman, you brought me on that meeting. If not, why am I at that meeting? Is for me to share my opinion. Of course, I'll share my opinion to correct and so that we know that we are moving forward. That's different. It's different from when you're fighting or when someone is attacking your person.
I hear Amaka, but I also think that let's put this way, and you may see what that woman is saying and what Mora is trying to say, which is, let's say this is a meeting, no physical punches, and your husband has stood up and he's giving what he believes is the right thing. And then you get up and give what you think is better. And when he comes home, he says, I expected you to keep quiet. Because at that time, I just needed your support. But you made me look bad. So if we agree with punching alongside, where, then we have to agree with him when he says, because you were talking as well, you made me look bad. But you must read the room.
Let me give you my own personal experience.
You can jump in. You can jump in if you want to.
I mean, I just feel definitely in the context is everything. And I think in the scenario that Sister Mario is talking about, certainly, if you wanted to say something, I think perhaps not in front of, an audience. Yes. You could still correct him in the privacy of your home. And I think it would be different. Like I talk about that machismo ego. It really is a thing. But the context that the pastor is talking about is completely different. Hers is quite on the extreme of the spectrum, whereby she's saying that you cannot talk when your husband is around. I mean, so you're not even able to support him. But in the context of the scenario that you brought up, I think perhaps you would have had a completely different reaction had it been you corrected him just in the privacy, because he probably knows that it was wrong, and perhaps part of his reaction is sort of a bit of embarrassment, because he probably knows that he did the wrong thing.
Let me take this call from Hassan.
Or he overreacted.
Hassan, thanks for calling. You're live. Oh, I'm so sorry I kept it. Let's watch the video. For our viewers who have no idea what we're talking about, let's us show the video for them.
Yeah.
With your husband in a meeting, and your husband, and they're asking questions. Woman, shut up. Keep quiet. If I'm sorry if I'm going to be harsh today, but I love you guys so much. Hallelujah. If a man and a woman, like me and my husband, maybe we're having a meeting, I don't talk. Even if I have something to say, I don't talk. I'll tell him ahead of time before I come. You don't have any business talking. It is when, that's what the Bible says, that woman, keep quiet in the church. If you have a question, go and do what? Go and ask your husband. It's not saying that, because the women at Corinth love to talk. They love to talk too much. So he said, instead of distorting whatever they are doing in the church, go back home and because that time the questions they were asking were bringing problems. So it's either she was talking too much and she wasn't discipled well. So he was in the garden, Adam was there, Eve was there, and the serpent spoke to the woman. Why was he speaking to the woman? Because Satan hates authority. Satan hates to go through the gate of authority. He hates authority so much.
So
this woman is ridiculous.
She's an evangelist.
Because what she's doing is giving her congregation, to me, wrong advice. And I mean, what's she saying? I don't even understand what she's saying. And even from what I remember of the Bible, Adam was not even there when. Wait. From what I remember of the Bible, Adam was not even there.
It was
only Eve he went to meet secretly.
Okay, yeah.
And when Adam came back, she now convinced him to eat the apple. So they don't. What he's saying, I don't even understand. But I was going to give from my own personal example. During between Jonathan and Buhari, there were a lot of arguments. Who should win the election? And everyone was supporting Buhari. I was one of those that, forgive me, Buhari, but I wasn't supporting the president, the former president then. So I was a lone ranger.
Yeah.
Everybody would say, Buhari should be the next president. Me, I would say no. My partner was supporting Buhari. And we didn't be arguing. But let me tell you the truth. When we will get home, it caused problem, friction. Because we drew apart. Because our views were so different.
Was it because of the views, or was it the way that you spoke about it?
I must have been the views.
This thing you're saying, these last elections broke many marriages. Same thing. Yes. Because there are lots of people in different groups. So it goes back to, because you're my husband and you are supporting, must I support what you're supporting?
No. So for me, that's why. So for me,
for the sake of my home.
Yes. So for me, this conversation, as the Honorable Minister said, she says because of the machismo or the man's ego. So that's the only place I would differ with her, because I expect it to be a two-way street. if I do it because of your ego and I give you the respect, I hope in my own time you would give me the same respect. So it's not something that is only required of me to give to the man. I hope it's what is also required of the man to give to me. If we find ourselves in a situation where maybe your silence will benefit us much better than both of us looking like we're arguing or seemingly like we're arguing in front of people, allow me, then give me that grace and respect to speak my mind, and when we get home, then we can, discuss it. But it's not just about the man. Only the man is allowed to speak. Only the man is allowed to have an opinion. And if you're at a table that you have also been invited to, do not speak because your husband is there. I don't agree with that.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, so like there's something I always hammer on all the time. I always say, please marry your kind. That's my rule in this life. You have no business. When you're dating somebody, you should know what you like. You should know what you want. You should know the other person. And you should know someone that, when you're dating, someone that supports you. There are men that support you, want to lift you up. Even when you're not speaking, they'll tell you, speak. Go there and speak. There are men that support their women to be in politics, to be in positions of power, because they encourage that, right? So if you're that kind of woman that you know that you cannot pretend, you cannot manipulate, you cannot swallow that your opinion, that you want to stand on what you want to stand on.
Marry your kind.
Marry your kind. Marry the man that will be clapping, applauding like, yo, baby, go, baby, that's my baby.
But that man, things change. Things happen. Politics happen. LP showed up, Obedient showed up, APC happened, PDP happened. People are taking sides. So we didn't discuss that before marriage. So you can be PDP, I can be APC, and then we are fighting in the house. So this happens. So
you're so right about things happening, because there are people, women have said this is the man that used to support me. He would go for all my events. All of a sudden, he feels threatened, or the language in our house has changed. So sometimes I've seen that some men will support you to a certain point. I've even heard a man say, I don't mind my wife to get as rich. She can be as rich as she wants to be, as long as she's not richer than I am. I will support her to be as, to have all the money in the world, but she cannot have more money than I do. So this shows you that sometimes some men, because I don't think it's all men, some men would, as long as they feel that they are still better than you in some way, it allows them to be, in their own interpretation, that it allows them to be the head of the family in that way. As long as you're not threatening what they feel that they bring to the table, then they will support you.
So maybe my word pretense,
to enter into their territory.
Maybe my word pretense is not as heavy as we think. Maybe it's actually apt for this, because we all kind of pretend. The man is pretending to support you because, hey, you are making him look good, and next he flips on you. Let me take this call for Ferdinand. I'll come to you, Honorable Minister. Ferdinand, you're live. Thanks for calling. Hello.
Okay, good morning.
Morning, sir.
And you, all of you. I appreciate you for this discussion. I want to start my statement by saying the woman talk about talking too much, not stopping the woman from talking at all. If a man stops the woman from talking at all, that is slavery. When you talk too much as a woman in front of the man or in public, it makes the man look smaller, and it is not good for your marriage at all. I am one man that loves giving my wife opportunities, bringing her up, allowing her to express herself and also make her input. But I found out that if we are having like WhatsApp family meetings, my wife will have.
Oh, yikes. Ferdinand, I really wanted to finish up with it. So he's saying that,
I think, honestly, each case has to be assessed on its own merit. What you have to do as a woman is always protect your mental health. I think that is really very important, and if the inability to speak to your husband or to articulate yourself is really something that impacts your mental health, then I think, you have to assess the situation. It's easy, you can't really put it in a box because things are very different, but I think it's very important for you as a woman to protect your mental health, because it's not even so much about your children. If you want to be a productive mother and a productive wife and a productive member of the society, as a wife, you have to protect your mental health.
Let's take a few comments on social media. I'm sure that we have lots of comments.
Ogumola Emmanuel says, Ms. Amaka, having a voice or differing opinion is fine. My issue is that when roles are reversed, many women expect unwavering public support or in general, even when their stances make no sense. Not backing them can quickly turn into a major issue. Adisa the Enigma says, the pastor who called is a joker, according to Adisa. The pastor woman was right in totality. If you hear the woman, she said, Satan hates authority, and the average woman today working always wants to usurp authority, and for this not to happen, Paul warns.
I told you, some people agreed with her, some people disagreed. Yes, why?
Emeka says, true that, Amaka, don't marry an authoritarian. Marriage must be enjoyed, not endured. Allow your spouse to shine and be their biggest cheerleader. And now they all want to marry men with money. When they demand, the women complain.
Yeah, someone says, future wife, please be outspoken and say your mind. No be mumu or property, I define that beg.
I told you, the guy I dated for my husband, he broke up. The reason why I'll mention is the Leke broke up with me is that he said that I'm too dominant, I'm too bold, I'm too dominating, I'm too, you always just talk. I don't think you can never be humble. You can never be humble. And I'm thinking, really?
So he was smart enough to understand his kind.
Exactly. Yes, now. And he was smart to understand. If he was the one that broke up, he knew that you impact his mental health. So he left you. He did you a favor.
So he didn't make it.
Exactly. So Amaka, you're right. Marry the person
Find your level.
Yeah, I think we can wrap up on this. But, let's go on a short break. When we come back on take on our next topic, stay with us. We'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back.
The time has come to experience the power of faith.
Get ready to step into the heartbeat of your city like never before. Welcome to Events Diary, where every moment is a celebration. From the electric energy of Owambe extravaganza, to the richness of our culture, to the sophistication of corporate gatherings, Events Diary is your VIP pass to the hottest gatherings in Nigeria. And guess what? I'll be your guide, your style icon. Each week, join me as I transform from traditional chic to corporate sleek. Whether it's a birthday bash or a high-profile gala, you won't just see it, you'll feel like you're right there with me. Aww. From meetings to evening soirees, I'll be there. Or to the trendiest street festivals or to music concerts, Events Diary has something for everyone. So join me as we explore the vibrant tapestry of Nigerian scene, one event at a time.
Welcome to Pure Entertainment. What would you like to order from our menu today? We have the regulars.
So let me go and look for my jam.
My 280 was 320. I suppose don't be one medical.
At this point, I contest my jam.
I want to close the show.
I can go. I can.
That's all we can take. Ejeki, close the show.
Ladies and gentlemen, number one, unavailable by Davido featuring Musa Keys.
We also have today's chef special.
Yo, shine, shiny, yeah. So recap done, and it's time for number one on the countdown. One of Nigeria's hottest artists right now, his name is Rema, and this one is called Charm. Kick it.
Another.
For dessert and a bit of nightcap, we have the nighttime and online specials.
I want to start the gym, yeah? But do you know one thing that's actually keeping me back?
You should start the gym though, you're getting fat.
Cricket.
She says she does pole dancing to empower women.
What's the difference?
There's a difference.
That's what I'm saying. So
pole dancer, you're already almost naked. You're already almost naked.
No, the empowerment for me.
Sex can make your relationship better.
No.
Sex can never be overrated.
It is needed.
Especially when it's good sex too. Almost every guy
has been with somebody's girlfriend.
But they are for all of us now.
That's why you're still single.
I will not agree or disagree with that because I don't want to get into trouble. I have a home to go to.
Your next question.
Oh, you ready to fail?
Who is the person you see us? What is his name?
That woman.
Damn!
Yeah, today we'll go here.
Hey!
Let's catch up now.
And Joe has been able to satisfy your cravings, yeah? Stay good. Entertainment, pure entertainment.
Ladies and gentlemen, we have Made Kuti in the building. It's still 7 of 7, and we've been doing a whole lot of protesting. The only thing that remains is just to carry placard.
It's about 5 of 7, to be honest, because ask your question. I have so much to speak about once we finish.
We will not give you the time because it's 7 of 7.
I will make the time now. He said he will not ask questions about science.
No.
About neuroplasticity.
And based on
he asked a question that was subjective about high life, and he did not finalize his answer about a Kuti question where there are only 3 of us.
Thanks for staying with us. Before we move on to our next topic, we have quite a number of tweets and comments. Go ahead, Maria.
Vincent Stevens says, but it's the truth. She's absolutely right. After he's done talking, she can also talk. If both of them are talking, they will not hear each other. And Longevity Daniel says, but she's right to a certain point. We don't know her reason or what warranted the said teaching. Then Aram Tokwe says, every good advice to sustain marriages is always criticized by overexposed ladies. Can they repair broken homes? But they can break homes saying things they can't try with their partners.
Yeah, sorry, Bashari Olayinka says, unfortunately, this woman liberation is getting out of hand. Women are beginning to see women liberation as a sort of competition between the husband and his wife. And then that pastor, Adisa the Enigma, says that pastor who called is a joker. Oh, did you read that one already?
I read that one.
And then he also says, God bless the honorable minister for the wisdom she had learned. The honest truth is that even as highly educated as she is, she shocks me as a traditional woman.
Okay, so that's a good one for you. Anyway, so I think in a nutshell, really, the truth is that everything is contextual. And I think from the woman's perspective, she expects that women are supposed to be submissive. And in part of showing submission is to be quiet when your husband is talking. On the other side, we're saying that today's woman is confident, she has an opinion, she wants to be heard, and she expects to be supported to be heard. However, the middle ground in that is that, yes, she can be heard, but because you're in a union with somebody, maybe you should also compromise. Do we use the word compromise?
Yeah.
Or see how you can, both of you respect each other. It's a two-way street where your wife is speaking, sometimes you respect her, she also respects you when you're speaking. So we have to find a middle ground in this whole thing. I think that's how we can end with that. Moving on to our next topic. The Australian government proposed a bill on a minimum age limit for children to use social media, citing mental and physical health concerns. According to the Prime Minister of Australia, Anthony Albanese, the government would run an age verification trial before introducing the legislation. Now, the question is, should the government of Nigeria also toe the same path and place an age restriction on social media? What are your thoughts? That's a conversation we're having. You can call us on 081 0764 1679, 090 3440. You can also send your messages to X and at TVC Connect and also on our YouTube page. So that's a conversation on social media. Yeah. I know that during the holidays, it was, oh my goodness, I tried all the rules in this world. I put rules here, restrictions. The kids were just so glued to their screens. So I banned screens till 4 p.m. Initially, it was till noon. When I realized that noon till midnight, they were on it, I said, okay, no TV, no phone, no tabs till 4 p.m. And then they'll be waiting. So they'll be playing with board games and stuff like that. They'll be waiting. Oh, once it's 4 p.m.,
they are waiting.
They are waiting. I mean, is it 4 o'clock yet? All the way. And I was like, even that for me was still too much.
No, it's too much.
So it's like, do you think this makes sense? Or do you think it can happen in Nigeria? Or what do you think there's a need to consider this in Nigeria? You want to start?
I think, honestly, it should be a veritable consideration. I mean, social media is a fantastic tool for social engagement, but it also causes a lot of social harm. And really the concern for me as a parent and just as a member of the society is you see a lot of young people really becoming social media addicts, and they have access to information that really they have no business having. I really do think there has to be, or there should be, a consideration of having some sort of regulation, especially for young kids. You have young kids that don't go out, as I think the Prime Minister pointed out. They don't do natural, every child that you see as young as 3, 4, they have a tablet in their hand. And I honestly think it is even eroding their mental capacity. It really, it should be a great consideration. I don't like the access of social media that young children have.
As adults, most of us are addicted to our devices, our iPads, we're always, you see people go out, they're in a restaurant, everybody's on their phone. You know, sometimes I go somewhere, or you are at a concert, everyone is on their phone.
In the train.
And you're looking, so nobody's having conversations anymore. Husband and wife will text each other. They're in the same house, but they will text each other. So we, as adults, we are addicted to our devices, and we have the mechanism to be able to fight it. Kids don't even have that mechanism. So you are putting them, you are giving them these devices early on. You know, because my daughter doesn't allow her kids, they can watch maybe one cartoon a day. One.
Wow.
And she's the one that will download it for them, put it on her computer, they will watch it out.
How does she occupy them?
They have to occupy themselves. They will get games, they play games. And actually, when you see them playing
together,
they're playing together. They're getting to know each other. They're reading. You know, the boy reads better than the girl, so he reads to her. Or she will just sit down while he's reading. You know, so they find things to do. But because we have that mentality of the phone, I can't see it. You are suffering this children. This children are deprived. It's how I'm thinking.
Grandma thinks so.
You know, but she's like, Mommy, when you come, don't let them near your iPad.
Okay.
Rollery now, please now. Let them even play 1 or 2 games. No. And she's really adamant about it. I feel she's a bit strict.
So, I mean, we're going to come to you, Marital.
Okay, so for me, I think it's important to place an age restriction on the use of social media, especially. Sometimes I feel bad that our children are not exposed to some of the things I felt helped to build our character. We had time to read. Like, there was time to do something, finish it, and then do the next thing. But you find children nowadays, they're on their tabs doing one thing or so they're never fully present to do anything, you know? And it's taking, and I think that what we'll see in a few years when they become adults, we'll not be able to take it. It just also reminds me, maybe I'm being too extreme here, but it reminds me of the time where they said that drugs came into like communities, and there were communities that from the top to the bottom, the whole streets, everybody was on. You just had drug addicts everywhere, and it affected the communities. The communities were like ghost towns. I feel like social media use has gotten to that stage. There's like
zombies.
It's like a drug. And my fear is we have children who have so much information, but they don't understand the character that they need to say yes and no. You know, they haven't developed mentally enough to be able to make some choices. There's some children that are already under pressure to be a certain way because they've seen it over and over and over again, how this person in America is like this, and every day it shows the parents going shopping, you know? So you're thinking, I am not happy. At 6, you already think that. At 8, at 10, you already think that your life is not perfect because you've watched Kaylee in America, who is, by the way, just shooting content, showing her fabulous life. And so I really would advise that. No, I'm just giving an example. Where it's important. It's important that we have age restriction placed, but then the age. What is the right age?
But the problem now is that even schools are lazy. I come to Yamaka. Schools are getting lazy because all their assignments on social media. So I'm trying to say no more iPads. In fact, I was so happy when they were going to school on Monday. I packed all the laptops, everything away. Just for them to come tomorrow yesterday, Mommy, the assignments down, we have tablet, we have to check. And I'm thinking, no, I'm not giving you that tablet again. Say, no, the assignments are there. So the schools are also trying to use social media. I'm trying to get them away from the screens, and the schools are bringing them back. So I get confused. Amaka, your thoughts on this?
Okay, so, when we're all growing up, there are certain things that we weren't exposed to, all right? And that's a good thing, because I believe it's your duty as a parent to protect your child from certain things until the time they are able to assimilate those informations. They can know what to do with them. They can build character. And also, we also underestimate the power of social interaction, interacting with people, playing, that innocence that comes with that playing, being yourself, being free, finding yourself. I believe that with this age of social media, it's also taken away from children, right? To do that. And rightly, like what Mariam said, like children are no longer concentrating on one thing. They are on tabs, like flipping through. And life is not like that. You need to be able to focus on one thing, finish that thing, go to the next. And you find out that even at home, so when you send a child to do an errand, the child is not taking their time to complete their errand properly because they want to run back to their tabs to do something. So yes, I support the fact if Nigeria can also put an age restriction to the use of social media, because it's too much information. Kids are losing their self-confidence. They're not taking their time to understand themselves. They don't understand that they're unconsciously that they're competing. So that jealousy, that competition, that envy now begins at an earlier age than it should.
Can I also say I agree with Sister Amaka, because children now don't have the ability to develop those social skills. And, social media can be very toxic. You have heard stories. It puts unnecessary pressure on young children. And for me, with the ministry of my ministry, that component of culture, what you find is with social media, our children have lost these values, our ideals, our traditions. They learn it from social media. So I think it's very important, honestly, to consider putting that age restriction so that we build, as you said, character. And they understand who they are as Nigerians. And then, they can have access to it by the time they have that
but where I get confused is that the world. But see, where I get confused is that the world has passed Ludo. The world has passed all these things that we've done. I mean, I tried to buy those board games, and they played it for like maybe 1 or 2 weeks, and after that they were done. There was the other one, Scrabble. I bought lots of games for them. But 2 weeks after they were done, they played it back to back, like and they felt they were okay. So the point is that we are saying the world has evolved. Everything is on social media. Even we are on social. My kids come to me. I'm hearing the staircase. Walking up the staircase, and I'm also on my phone. I quickly hide it because I don't want them to see me on the phone. Because the more they see me on the phone, they also want their own screen too. So we are also not laying good examples for them either.
Okay, so this is where I would say where our fault is. So you bought all these board games. How many times did you play with them? Because I remember growing up, we played the board games with our parents. They made the time. But now what we do, we hand them over these things. We don't engage them. Then we go over to our phones. And that is what, and with children, it's what you do that they want. It's not what you tell them to do. So
that's true.
My children, I remember there was a time they were like, Mommy, you don't play with us. We wish you were the way you used to be, more engaging. So for us, and a lot of people explain this. They say for us, for our generation, we're so afraid of our children being bored. From before they could say anything, you just hand them a tablet so that they are not bored. But boredom is important because it allows for creativity.
Don't cry. Just take
exactly. So if you allow a child to be bored, he will come up with creative ways to not be bored and build character and build all sorts of things. So we also need to tell ourselves, this parenting we're doing, are we as involved as we should be, or we're also distracting ourselves from parenting with our own devices?
Bless you. This is Elizabeth. Thanks for calling. You're live. I'm Joss.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
I'd like to say, first of all, some parents have laid out how they would want to parent their children. Now, some have made the decision, okay, we're not going to expose our children to certain devices until they've come a certain age. But then they now find themselves exposing these children to such devices at an early age. And I'll tell you why. It's because they've seen parents A, parents B, and they've seen their children having these things, being exposed to these things, and they feel, why can't my child have access to this? That's one of the issues that we're having. Another thing is, I actually believe that, or actually support.
Well, Elizabeth, we're having trouble hearing you. I hope our viewers could hear you at home.
Yeah.
Let's take a few comments on social media. I'll be wrapping up on this very soon. But my worry, as I said, is that, okay, if we check ourselves, schools are not checking themselves. They don't give them assignment. Everything now is on the apps. And when the kids are drawn to the apps, you know, the other day, yesterday was my first outing after my kids' school. And I took my iPad back. And that's what I used at the event yesterday. I didn't recognize the iPad again. They had changed everything, the screensavers, they put in like 1,000,001 different apps. And I'm thinking, what is this? I couldn't even find my own app to do the work I wanted to do. It took me, so even the school, everything has been accustomed to using the app. So how do I, as a parent, disengage a child that the school they expect them to be online?
You know, for example, okay, so now you're saying something different in the sense that it's okay for kids to have the app, to have the tab, but you now need to monitor what's there, like as in their creative games, their educational stuff that you put on those tabs to monitor that they're using it, tech things, coding, that they use it for what is meant to be used. But is restriction from social media, TikToking, dancing, Instagram, having access to all those things. Social media should be a no-no till a certain age. But the kids should be allowed to have tabs for school, because it helps them to be able to compete globally. You know, like to do the coding and stuff, they need to use a tab, right, to do all those things. And especially, for example,
the open pages, was it not Bimbo, the actress, that I was saying that the Big Brother... What's her name? Yes. She said that her daughter went to go and open a TikTok account because these kids will find a way around it. They will hide it somewhere. You won't even know where it is.
And I've noticed about one of these social media, on the children's channel, they have all this adult content.
Yeah, that's crazy. Bad. Yeah, I mean, they're
because the children are their targets, and they know you are. I want to be in the kitchen doing some work. Yes. Yeah, take this tab and watch it. They are exposed to things that we don't.
Because curiosity will make them keep clicking those things.
Yeah, but even that adult content, for me, there should be some restriction. You go to a country like Turkey, Dubai, Saudi Arabia, China, you don't have access to it. It is so annoying when you, as a person, is even just trying to navigate the social media and something comes up. It is so, I mean, it is such a rude awakening. And to think that your young children also have access to this, I think honestly it should be a consideration that
they tried it sometime in this country, and Nigerians when we wanted to regulate social media. And I'm not talking about restrictions now. General regulation, the conversation was started. I think it was the former minister, Lai Mohammed, was trying to push for that. Everybody went, they want to gag us, But part of the conversation in regulating is putting restrictions on this accessibility for certain sites. But Nigerians refused.
Yeah.
Same way governors refuse to share the access to
but I think most people are going to agree.
Going back to that?
Yeah, I think most people will agree. Honestly, most adults are going to agree to a restriction for children because all of us as parents are struggling with the same thing. Our children are just exposed to a very toxic and unhealthy
because we're not saying regulate it for adults, we're saying regulate it for children.
So that they can build their character.
Yes, because...
it's the adult that give the children now. Take my tablet, take my phone.
Yeah, but if they know that...
No, it's not on you as a parent. It's not parenting that, as in I can't come to your home to tell you how to raise your child. At least you know that. At least I know that. that there's something that protects.
I can tell you, if I was the minister in charge of that portfolio, that ban would certainly be a huge consideration. I hope the minister, my colleague, is listening to us.
Let me just read some comments. Sorry.
Can I just?
Yeah.
Okay. So recently, I'd seen on social media, a school that uses apps to teach children. So they go to school for many hours, maybe 6 hours a day, but the first 2 hours, they have coaches and then they use AI tools to teach them. Then for the rest of the hours, they engage them in physical stuff. So they are building things, they're creating things. But what I find with us here is we go to school, we do schoolwork for a few hours, and then we now use our AI tools for fun, right? So for me, the mindset to change it, so we're using AI tools and apps a bit more intelligently, is to allow children be exposed to AI tools that can help build them, educate them. So, when they spend their time there, they look for more content like that. The content that comes to them is content that educates them and builds them. And then they spend the rest of their time, doing handwork and playing with each other, playing in the streets and doing all sorts of, and doing sports. So that need to watch other people's lives and follow the trends and follow, all that would be limited.
Someone here is saying boredom is a way of making you creative.
Yeah,
yes.
Mariam said that.
Mariam said that.
We have to wrap up on this, but I think
absolutely.
I think in a nutshell, really, to wrap this up, in a nutshell is that it's something worth considering because kids today are addicted, and we say that the world does need them to be online, but they must be educative. It must be such that it's actually stuff they're doing that can help them build their creativity and become better citizens, not stuff that will harm them or affect their mental health. That I think is something we should consider. Let's go on a very short break now. We'll come back. We'll now focus on the Ministry of Art, Culture, and Creative Economy. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back.
Now you can catch up with your favorite programs on TVC. Log on to www.youtube.com/TVC.
Hey, my people, I greet you plenty. My name is Nachika Okeke.
My name na Uwi Balogun.
My name is Damilola Banire.
My name na Moyo Faraway Ahmed. If you also call me Moyo, listen.
And this na Abigail.
And I dare on top of you, Pigeon.
I'm going to bring you bass, boost. I don't get person will be single mother before. He carry another man show, say, now my husband be this. After that day, the man
you go see him again. If you snooze, you lose. If you miss this show, you miss out. On top this our show, I not dey gree for anybody.
When they friend the husband, you not see sign say the guys, nothing, don't vex, don't do signs.
If they look for person we go give them to you, fact as it be. Men no they ever get fault. If baby not there for her,
na
the woman.
Talk no dey be person, make person no fit talk true inside. But for this country, we not say if we open curtain in the morning, waiting no good, no good.
Me and my sisters, hey, we go tanda gidigba for inside studio to give una all the latest information.
Look, we no even take responsibility for the children. Leave the man.
And that's some poria. As the morning light filters in, the Max Breakfast kickstarts your day from the bedside.
We bring you the morning vibe and plenty of ginger to start your day right.
Join us on the Max Breakfast as we help you seize your day one step at a time. On Max Hits, we've got the ultimate playlist for you. We give you back-to-back.
And all the biggest news from the world of entertainment. Only on Max Hits.
Area! Waiting the apple, waiting the shop. Tune into what really waiting the 102.3.
Musawa was sworn in today. She will be speaking on what she met, what she's done so far, and what she plans to do. You can join the conversation again on 081-0764-1679, 090-2416-3440. You can also send your tweets to X. We'll be happy to read it on at TVC Connect. Good to have you again.
Thank you.
So I know you're in Lagos. You had a stakeholders meeting yesterday to share some of the plans. You discussed something about an 8-point agenda. Could you share with us the plan exactly for the ministry and what you hope Nigerians will know what you're doing?
Yeah. So, when I came into the ministry, what I saw was literally nothing in terms of a foundation had been set up for specifically creative industry. This is the first time that there has ever been a ministry that really sort of caters specifically for that. We've always had sort of that cultural component, but it always came under information, and information sort of overshadowed it. So to think that, you know, there were not legal regulatory frameworks in place that would really support the ministry and infrastructure, it was really, for me, it was a crying shame, because even though I'm a little bit of a creator, because I do art, I do poetry and writing, but I didn't know that nothing had really been done. The industry has really thrived and been successful, specifically globally, and I keep on talking about the fact that, you know, Nigeria is having a moment, but is in spite of government. Government has done absolutely nothing up until now to support the industry. It's the content and talent of Nigerians that have taken it abroad, that have sort of grown it organically. So what I decided to do is that building a house was to really start from the bottom, to build the fantastic foundation. But when you're building a house and it's beautiful, and you've, you know, got wonderful furniture, but you don't have a proper foundation, it's going to crumble. So in order to do that, at the beginning, what I did was I wanted to do a proper deep dive and research. So I brought in some of the best minds and cerebral organizations in the world to help me look at, you know, the work has already been done in other climes. In South Korea, you can see what they're doing. In Japan, in America, what they've done with Silicon Valley. So I knew that there was a lot of value here. So I brought in BCG, EY, McKinsey to do a deep dive, to do research using these benchmark countries and to sort of come up with a strategy which we can localize to see how not only we can, I wanted to do, well, the president told me he wanted an economic expansion from the industry, and also he wanted job creation. So we looked at it and I saw, like I said, there was no framework in place. So of course, when you're talking about putting up a framework, you have to look at the policy. I came up with an 8-point agenda, which Destination 2030, the issue of policy, IP policy. To think that there was no IP policy to support the industry, for me, was a crying shame. So, you know, we did a stakeholder engagement across the full spectrum of the industry, which is at least 49 subsectors. So it was not something that I could just do alone with a team. I wanted to engage members of the industry so that they can bring their input, and we can flesh out this policy. And of course it was interministerial as well, because it's cross-cutting. So together, myself and the Minister of Trade and Investment, Doris, we came up, we did this huge engagement. And I'm so excited to say that, like I mentioned yesterday, in 2 weeks, I will deliver IP policy. Okay. That is foundational. That is key. You cannot talk about any implementation of any program without giving the securitization that is required. And you're talking about investment, but you have to give people the confidence that, you know, their IP is protected. And of course, to also allow members within the industry to use their IP as collateral.
So just for our viewers to know, that's intellectual property. So you have ideas, you have things that are yours, and then you put it out there, and it's all protected. Somebody else is taking from your sweat, your ideas. So that what you do, that shield you're giving to us as creatives, is that I can have an idea, put it out there, and you protecting me so that I can earn my money. Yes, Mariam.
Yes, you know, to be honest, when I heard that she was coming, I was thinking about it. I said my first question will be, what does the ministry do? Like really, what I've always heard, you know, the information as you mentioned, but what is it about culture? So recently, you know, I've been seeing a lot of information about the Benin Empire, the Benin mode, but I'm hearing it from Oyibo people. They are fascinated by it. Nigerians don't know anything about that. Our culture and our cultural practices and our cultural heritage, is this something that falls under your ministry? And if it is, what is your plan for educating Nigerians and also, you know, leveraging on our culture and our landmarks to you know, to better Nigerians and also make us quite visible out there.
So I often say that there's a huge real estate in this sector, from the cultural industry and the creative industry. I have committed that we're going to contribute at least $100 billion to increase the GDP by 2030 and also create jobs and also sort of reposition Nigeria because, like you said, you know, our culture, the white people, the diaspora community are very interested in this culture of ours. Some of what you're talking about is the lack of infrastructure. The fact that we don't have proper museums. Listen, when I went to the National Museum here in Lagos, I almost cried. I couldn't believe that that was the National Museum. We don't have a museum in Abuja, the capital city. So this is where, when we talk about, you know, the Benin culture, where, you know, the diaspora community see worth in this culture of ours, in our history, these fantastic artifacts. We're talking about bringing them back. We don't even have storage to be able to do it. And I keep on saying that what we want to do is to do everything in the best interest of those artifacts. So when you're bringing them back, you have to build storage facilities, which we're doing. We want to leverage on this culture and the interest that people have within our creativity to see that we have a huge cultural expansion, making Nigeria the cultural hub of Africa. 240 fantastic kaleidoscope of tribes, beautiful, wonderful, every single one of them. We want to use that to bring unity. We want to use it to reposition Nigeria, change the narrative of Nigeria. They talk about rebranding. I don't want to use that word rebranding. I want to talk about repositioning us so that when you go abroad, they talk about Nigeria from the vantage point of what we have to offer from our talent and our content. And, you know, this cultural expansion that we talk about, I want to close all the gaps that disallow us to monetize that particular sector. So, for example, the policy that we spoke about, I mean, it's very wide, so I'm sure I will not be able to divulge everything. But
go ahead, Lama.
Okay, yes. Okay, like Mariam, like what you said in terms of telling our stories, I know like Ebony Life, Mwabudu, they've been trying.
Yeah.
But I just feel like so much of our stories, even like something as important as the Biafran War, stories are not being told properly. We are losing our heritage as a people. Even simple things as games that children play, you know, we're letting technology take over. Like even the Ogaswe that children play outside, even the Ayo, we call it Uncho, right? So I keep seeing people going for all these competitions. They'll go for chess competition, they'll do that competition. We need to start also creating the environment where we can even do all those Ayo on competitions, all those are local, so that we don't lose, because those games, traditional games, they teach you something. They teach you patience, they teach you how to think locally, so we don't lose our songs, how we tell our folklores, how we tell stories.
Even around,
you know, so
that's very interesting because, you know, gaming and animation is a very exciting subsector under our ministry, and we are working on some exciting projects that will leverage on our culture to, I mean, we've developed one already, and it's almost at the point of almost complete, well, it's at the point of development. So we are doing a number of games and animation, just using that culture, our dances, just an expression of who we are. To ensure that we, you know, we talk about the children getting confused as to their identity and their ideals. So we're using that. I would love to share more, maybe more of some of the amazing things that we're doing in terms of all those subsectors and maybe...
I mean, there was something that comes to work in a second, because I know that you also wanted collaboration, because I was saying that there are people who have organically built this.
They've done it.
There are people, you talked about Madhouse yesterday. I know your animation for HIP TV, Headies Awards. These are people who have built this thing. Now, your ministry is saying, I'm here to collaborate. In what ways can you collaborate with existing events or activities that's happening? And we have the National Theatre. How can that be accessible? For example, he shouldn't be traveling all around the world looking for Headies. They will have a National Theatre right there. So what can the government do? What infrastructure do you have available that can make existing in industry activities more accessible for Nigerians?
I mean, ironically, even yesterday, last week I had a meeting with Mr. Ayo, telling him I'm going to need him to bring the headies back to Nigeria. I mean, I told him, it doesn't need to be in America. We have the Wole Soyinka Theatre. And I hope he's watching and listening because I'm supposed to have a meeting with him after this. He went to see the Wole Soyinka Theatre yesterday, and I want to get his feedback because we want to use that. That's a national edifice, which the committee of bankers have done an astronomical job. If you have never been anywhere in Nigeria, you need to go to the Wole Soyinka Theatre. That will make you so proud. To be a Nigerian. They have done a fantastic job. There's nowhere in the world as beautiful as the Wole Soyinka Theatre.
No, I haven't been there.
Yeah, it's absolutely. I hope we can do a show from there.
I would love
so
to.
I can co-host working on the Renaissance project, which is going to work directly with the states to use the unique peculiarities in the state to ensure that there's long-term sustainability of whatever the state represents in terms of culture and creative industry. So honestly, in the next year, you're going to see, because now we have the framework in place and we have the protection and securitization, and we're coming up with a number of memos that I've taken to FEC. Hopefully, we'll get approval. That will also get funding for members in the industry. Okay, we talk about those that have been successful, but there's a number of other people that just don't have access to funding. So I'm working on that capacity building. We've come up with CLAP, and is an online database that will give you access to training, capacity building, proper networks, job creation. I want to make, they say is the new oil. For me, it is beyond the new oil because not every Nigerian has access to go and work in an oil company. Every single Nigerian, no matter where they are, has the ability to create content in their bedroom. And so this is what I want to do, to bring it, to localize it, to make it a resource for every Nigerian and to contribute to increase the GDP, because that will be able to be distilled down. And, you know, help other sectors within the country.
So I was going to ask you two questions. One, how accessible are you? One. Second, do you know about Celebration?
I've heard about, well, let me answer the first one. I have heard about Celebration. And thank God, when I came and sat here, you invited me to participate, which I've already accepted. So it looks like I'm going to be doing a lot of trips to Lagos in the next couple of months. And, you know, we are supporting other, you know, we're supporting fashion shows, we're supporting all what Chioma is doing, Mo Abudu, what they have done in the industry, all the feats and all the different festivals and carnivals and Afrif. We're going to work with them. We want
President Macron was here for Celebration. Did you hear about that? He came,
yes.
He came all the way here and just went straight to Celebration. So it's actually a national treasure.
Well, if President Macron has come, I certainly have to come as well. Listen, every single person within the sector, because government has never been there till now. So government is there to serve members of the industry. So anyone that, you know, wants government to come in, to use that network, to use that access, I'm here. How accessible am I? I think I probably am one of the most accessible ministers. Honestly, I am extremely accessible. On Thursdays between 12 to 2, I sit my behind in my office and I accept anyone who, I mean, I have to limit it. Before it was every day, but I've got to work as well. So every Thursday from 12 to 2, when I'm around in the country, I'm in my office and anyone can come to the office to see me.
Okay, the reason I asked you if you'd heard about Celebration is because the next question was going to be, what do you know about it?
Yeah.
What do you know about it? And because I hear that you're bringing the Grammys to Nigeria.
Yes.
Why bring Grammys to Nigeria? Why not have a Nigerian version? Not call it Grammys. I mean, we already have the headies here that can compare with the Grammys. That they will now want to win our awards because we keep on looking to the West for validation.
Yeah.
Let's validate ourselves from here because that's why I asked you about Celebration. What really do you, because right now, I know that Celebration is the longest standing musical festival in Nigeria. We have been on for over 20 years.
Yeah.
I'm sure you don't know that.
No, I actually don't. I must admit, I don't know as much as I should about celebrations. I brought in Baba Abba, who is part of your community. He's spoken to me about it. I invite everyone that has already an established award show. I've received a number of them to come and collaborate with government, or even, if not collaborate with government, come to government to see how government can use its network, its access, and its resources to support these festivals. Now you talk about the Grammys. Of course, I think there's room for everyone because at the moment, Nigeria is at the foremost of music expression in the world. Afrobeats, everyone is excited about it. And of course, the Grammys was interested in coming to Africa by and large because of Afrobeats, and we have to claim that. The Grammys, Africa was coming to Africa, and it was having founding members. The founding members were South Africa, Kenya, Rwanda, and the third proposal was Nigeria. I thought long and hard. Just as you said, we have local talent and local brand, which we need to support. So I thought long and hard about if Grammys comes to Africa and it's having founding members, and it has these three founding members, South Africa, Rwanda, Kenya, and is asking Nigeria. And for a long time, I sort of I did a lot of grandstanding. But I think it would be dropping the ball for the heartland and the center of Afrobeats not to key into something like that. The fact that Nigeria would be one of the founding members of African Grammys does not mean that we will not support our own brand. And like I said, and which is why I keep on supporting and asking the headies to come back into Nigeria. Every single music festival that is of Nigerian brand, I want to encourage to come to see how we can work and partner with you, if it's only for our network, our access, and what way we can support to build that Nigerian brand. And like I said, we want to make Nigeria the creative hub of the world. And now that the world is really interested in this content, I think it is important for us to ensure that we encourage that.
The final question. Yeah. Okay. So, I mean, we have to wrap up very soon, but I think people have heard you say 49 subsectors, and I'm wondering, okay, that's fashion, makeup, the whole work. So we're expecting that government is building some kind of infrastructure to support these industries. Because many have been doing makeup and all they do is just do makeup. But it's got to be a framework to support that industry properly. So hopefully when you finally launch and when people can now start seeing how they can key into your plans. So let me give you the final 1 minute just to summarize everything.
Just to that, I want to say we do a framework to support the whole industry and the whole sector. And then those 49 subsectors, we're coming up with different programs and initiatives for them. Just before I left Abuja, we came up for an initiative for the comedy scene, for the beading scene, the jewelry scene, the henna scene, the hair dressing, the hair, makeup, the cosmetic scene, so the architecture. So every single one of those has its own programs and initiatives. But like I said, what is important is for us to put up a foundation for everything. Listen, it's an exciting time for the industry, and I'm still looking to have input from members of the industry, which is why, you know, these stakeholder engagements must take place, because I need people within the industry to continue to help us flesh out.
Yeah.
They care about the industry.
Thank you.
So,
You have money to do all these things. You have plenty of money to do
I'm not sure about that. Because the partnerships that will bring the money.
All right. Thank you so much. It was a pleasure
Thank
having you.
you.
Hope you enjoyed the show.
Oh, I loved it. This was on my bucket list.
And I'm glad you've
Yeah, and I
ticked that
certainly
box
hope
now.
that I will come back.
Tick that box now. So good. So hopefully we'll come back and do a bigger one with you.
Yeah, in the National Theatre.
Yes, in the National Theatre. You heard it, Nigeria. Your
The
view is
National
going.
Theatre is now the Wole
The Wole Soyinka Theatre. It's still our national theatre, though. Wole Soyinka Theatre.
That
is
is
our national
all
theatre.
we can take on today's show. Hope you learned a few things as we have. Have a great day. We'll see you tomorrow. Bye for now.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
So